Hello, my chickens. It's me. So I'm going to talk about how to communicate with men because we all know that that can be a pain in the butt. And I'm sure the other way around too. I recently finished a book by Devon Franklin. It's called The Truth About Men. And it was an insightful book about how men kind of process things and how they deal with their shame and their guilt and just how they operate, really. And so I have a few takeaways that I feel like will be helpful. So as a female, we play a vital role in encouraging our men to communicate with us if we're in a relationship with them. Men have been taught that vulnerability equals shame. And if they're vulnerable, that is shameful and that you're weak. Vulnerability is often perceived as weakness, and men who are vulnerable are looked kind of down upon in our society. When it's looked down upon, men don't feel comfortable to express how they're feeling, their guilt, their shame, and so then it gets bottled up and it's not a good thing. The alternative becomes shutting down and feeling inadequate and feelings of uncertainty. Isolation can easily lead to emotional, spiritual, and physical breakdown. Part of that is that men need to themselves create safe spaces for them to communicate and open up, and then they also need to be communicating mostly with their wife or their girlfriend or family. Men need a safe space to communicate, or else it's bad news bears, honey. Let me tell you. If your man that you're in a relationship with doesn't feel that he can come to you with his guilt, his pain, his shame that he's experiencing in life, or whatever it is, then he's going to search for it somewhere else, and it's not going to be with you. That's going to be a wake-up call, because if you can't create a safe space for a man to communicate, and he can't do that for himself too, it's partially his responsibility, then he's going to start talking to someone else and become emotionally vulnerable with someone else and emotionally intimate with someone else. And that's not something you want, because if emotional vulnerability occurs, then eventually intimacy occurs after that. And that's the reason a lot of men cheat, is because they can't find that peace within themselves and within a relationship to communicate and to express their own feelings, that they feel like they have to talk to other women and fill that void somehow, and then they end up cheating, and they end up starting out texting someone, and it starts innocent, and then they've emotionally bonded. He's emotionally bonded with this other woman that he's not supposed to be bonding with. Once that takes place, they become vulnerable to that person and they become intimate. Create a safe space. Women are by nature healers and nurturers, and we naturally have that talent to help comfort and encourage. If you can't both openly communicate with each other, it's not going to be successful, obviously. Men need us. Even God knows that men need us. Men can talk about, oh, I don't need a woman, or I don't need to settle down with one woman, and it's like, by nature, we all have that desire. I mean, that's why Eve was created, because Adam had a need for companionship, and God saw that it was bad that he was alone. He saw that it was bad that man was alone. So he created Eve. Mentioned in the Bible that Eve had the same need for Adam. You know, it wasn't vice versa. It was that Adam needed Eve. And so men need women. And we play an important role, and we need to know our role, and we need to know our value. And this is so important because so many men try to run away from a committed relationship and try to run away from a monogamous relationship, but it's part of our DNA. It's part of how we were created. We were created to be monogamous. It's part of our makeup. Also, when you're communicating with a man, don't assume he's thinking certain things. Don't assume that he should know that it's Valentine's Day and you want to go to dinner and you want to have cheesecake for dessert. Don't assume those things, because men are not that smart. No, I'm just kidding. A lot of women expect their man to just kind of know what they want and just read their minds, and that's not fair. I've even done that, where I'm you've been in a relationship with me for a while, you should kind of know what I want, and you should kind of know what I don't like. They should know. Sometimes they should make an effort to fulfill your needs and fulfill your wants and they should just know. They shouldn't have to ask you every single time. Like, they should know some things that you like. I'm just saying, be communicative. Don't assume. Don't assume that the other person knows how you feel or knows what you want. Like, don't assume that stuff. Men are a lot more logical thinking, and women are more emotionally driven. So women a lot of time are the more emotional ones in the relationship, and men are more so the logical ones. They're kind of that provider and that like leader in the relationship. As far as I'm concerned, that's the role I feel like a man should have in a relationship. I don't necessarily believe in all the typical gender roles, but I do believe that the man in the relationship needs to be a strong leader and needs to be able to provide that security, because a woman's mega need is security and stability. Just saying. When men commit to the right woman, there's a sense of fulfillment that they can't get in any other area of their life. They can't get it in work. They can't get it by having a bunch of females. They can't get it by having a lot of money. It can only come from the woman that is strong and able to provide that safe space and is able to connect with that man on a different level, on a healthy level. So in order to create that emotional intimacy in your own relationship, you both have to be vulnerable. You both have to be willing to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to get hurt. And that's important, because if you are willing, you will only reach the relationship's peak performance when you're both willing to put it all on the line and put yourself out there. Because if you don't risk putting yourself all the way out there, then you're not really gonna reap the same benefits. Couples who are more emotionally intimate are happier. They're at peace within themselves and within the relationship, and it's a healthy relationship. Communication is at the core of a strong relationship. And it also leads to physical well-being as well. I feel like I'm kind of like low energy when I film this stuff. Thinking so hard that I'm like, so serious. Why so serious? But anyway, hopefully that helped you guys. This is like my favorite topic to talk about, is like relationships and love. Things that I've learned. I'm only 25, but I still know a thing or two. Okay, signing off.